So, billionaire Jeff Bezos was sitting in that rocket, all his own, with his brother and two friends, and went to outer space for a few minutes today. This is actually easy to make fun of and find fault with, and I will do that. But first, it's actually very, very cool. He has the means. He wants to make space available to everybody someday, and he went himself. And, he paid for it, and why not? And it all worked.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Command engine start. 2, 1. Ignition. We have liftoff. The Shepherd's cleared the tower.
And New Shepard has cleared the tower on our way to space with our first human crew. Go, Jeff. Go, Mark. Go, Wally. Go, Oliver. You are going to space.
I actually love it. For too long, we were borrowing rides from the Russians to get into outer space, and now NASA's back at it. Jeff Bezos is taking people to space, and I think it's good. I think it's about time. And when he got there, this was a very short mission. He took off from Van Horn, Texas, which is in West Texas, and basically landed, I think, in the same spot. But he got to outer space, and he made the most of it.
Yeah! Well done! Here, toss me one. Let me try.
Here it goes. Oh, sorry, mid-fast.
Here, try again.
I can't get it up. I got you. Oh, wow.
No,
No, he coming. Oh.
He's so good.
I mean, look at this. They're having fun, throwing Skittles at each other. And look at the size of the windows. That is actually pretty cool. They didn't have to do a lot of experiments. Really, the experiments, as far as I could tell, making sure the vehicle worked. And they were pretty confident of that. But they're practicing and practicing. And someday, maybe he'll get us to the moon. The big rocket that propelled them up, that came down itself. And this is really cool. It comes down vertically. It seems like science fiction from the 1950s, but this is the way they've chosen to do it. It's environmentally sound, and it's also very, very cool. A little while later, the capsule itself came down to Earth. Pretty neat. And here he comes, the billionaire with the cowboy hat, his brother and friends. I mean, hey, if you got it, flaunt it. Hugs his mom. Yeah, look, I got my problems with Jeff, but we'll get to those. In the meantime, this was pretty nice. And he did something very classy. He named that vessel for Alan Shepard. Alan Shepard was the first American astronaut into outer space back in 1961. And he named the ship for him, and I think that is awfully, awfully cool. And during the post-flight press conference today, he talked about Alan Shepard and acknowledged Alan's daughters who were in the audience.
We are honored today to have Alan Shepard's daughters, Laura and Julie. Could you stand up just briefly so we could say...
Very nice. Very, very nice. Alan Shepard, first American into space, and later would walk on the moon in Apollo 14 in 1971. He was the oldest man on the moon, by the way, at the age of 47. I don't know, could Jeff Bezos be dropping a little bit of a hint that maybe one day he'll go to the moon? I would if I were him. I really would. Hey, by the way, today is the 52nd anniversary of Apollo 11 landing on the moon. There is Buzz Aldrin next to the flag. Very, very cool. All right, now back to the good stuff of what happened today, and there was some negative stuff that's coming. His brother Mark, they're very close, and listen to what they brought up in the capsule with him. I think it's very nice.
We had the opportunity to bring with us, it was actually on loan from the Explorers Club. We were able to fly with a piece of canvas from the Wright Flyer. So the plane that the Wright brothers flew, we brought a piece of that canvas with us, which was really powerful, as well as a bronze medallion that was made from the first hot air balloon flight in 1783, which was the first time man ever, left the Earth in controlled flight. So we were very thrilled to be able to bring both of those along with us.
I think that's really nice. And guess what? Their mom was there. And they gave her a very special gift. Watch this.
I wore this necklace, and it is a Blue Origin feather, and I wore it up into space, and now it's for you.
That's nice. And the other thing I kind of like here is that ultimately he wants to make space available to a lot of people. And these are the baby steps that you have to take if that'll happen someday. So all is great so far in my book. But then, being a billionaire, being a left-leaning billionaire, he got a little bit carried away. And as this thing was wrapping up, he made a speech.
We live in a world where sometimes, instead of disagreeing with someone's ideas, we question their character or their motives. And guess what? After you do that, it's pretty damn hard to work with that person. And really what we should always be doing is questioning ideas, not the person. Ad hominem attacks have been around a long time, but they don't work, and they've been amplified by social media. We need unifiers and not vilifiers.
All right, who decides who the unifiers are? Who decides who the vilifiers are? I think he's on a slippery slope, but it's his day and he gets to say what he wants. Listen to this.
The Courage and Civility Award is a $100 million award so that the awardee, the recipient, can give $100 million to the charities, the nonprofits of their choice. And these are people who have demonstrated courage. By the way, it's easy to be courageous, but also mean. Try being courageous and civil. Try being courageous and a unifier. That's harder and way better and makes the world better.
All right, $100 million, wow, to somebody who unifies, is not a vilifier. And the award goes to?
The first Courage and Civility Award goes to Van Jones. Van, come on up.
Van Jones. Van Jones, CNN commentator. This guy is as left as they come. He is as nasty as they come. He was fired by Obama for being so nasty. He's a 9/11 truther at one point in his career, thinking that it was an inside job. This is the guy who gets a $100 million reward for being civil, the Civility Award. Most famously, Van Jones had something of a nervous breakdown on election night in 2016. He gets very emotional, but first, he gets very, very mean and accusatory of the American people.
We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
A white lash? That sounds racist. And it sounds like nothing to do with the 2016 election. A lot of people thought Hillary Clinton was a liar. A lot of people they wanted to shock the system. It wasn't a white lash, but that's the way he sees, Mr. Civility sees the world. And there have been other examples. Again, this man just got $100 million for being civil. Look at this.
How were the Republicans able to push things through when they had less than 60 senators, but somehow we can't?
Well, the answer to that is they're Barack Obama's not an
Hey, how about that? The crowd loved it when he called Republicans a-holes. This is the man. This is Mr. Civility. Really. But there's more going on here. This is not just Amazon picking the wrong guy for their Courage and Civility Award. There's something else going on that has to do with this crazy moment we're in. Take a look at those astronauts who went to space today, okay? And again, a great day for them, and I'm happy for them, really. But Amazon, in a way, has an optics problem. They have a situation here. It's for white people. Now, I don't care, but they care. Oh boy, do they care. That's all corporate America cares about these days. What you look like, where you're from, who, all that nonsense. But it's woke, it's Amazon, so what do? You can't have just 4 astronauts and not, you write a great big fat check for $100 million to the nicest guy who happens to be a person of color you can find. It's the ultimate in virtue signaling. And I'll prove it to you. Amazon's policies, internally and externally, are beyond woke, beyond weird. And even though he had a great day today, some of this stuff is truly hurting the country. We'll be back with that.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.